Hi and welcome back to Mentally Yours, a podcast presented by Mahfouz by Simran, co-presented by EDUTHON. Today I am joined by Dr. Manisha Sahni, a dental surgeon turned life skills trainer, leader and educator. She is the director principal at Delhi World Public School Zirakpur. With her diverse experience in culinary art, music, dentistry and adolescent training, she brings a unique perspective on the table. So please welcome Dr. Manisha Sahni. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited to be here.
Glad to know. You had a really long day, I'm sure, and then you're still here looking as energetic and enthusiastic as possible.
To be honest, I was actually pretty excited about meeting with you and having this conversation. It's such a relevant topic, so I do look forward to your input on it. And,
Absolutely.
Adding my little bit of words.
I think, the reason you could be excited was because आप खुद adolescent training or life skills में बहुत ज़्यादा believe करते हैं and you are like a strong advocate of that.
Absolutely.
So, what do you have to say about, let's say, अगर हम adolescent training की बात कर रहे हैं, so let's start with that, very basic. Adolescent training क्या होती है, उसमें what all gets included?
Okay, can I go a little bit further below and talk about the children from foundational stage also?
Of course, that would be better.
So I would like to say that I feel that social emotional learning is a foundation of all kinds of learning for a child. In schools, initially, we did not pay that much heed to this aspect, or even if we did it very subtly in terms of doing things. But I feel there are three key things that children need to focus on. One is self-awareness.
Of course.
Two is self-regulation. Okay? You see adults also unable to emotionally regulate. So self-regulation has to be taught early on.
Absolutely.
Impulse control, self-regulation, that is a very important two interconnected things. Then also self-advocacy. We do not teach children how to advocate for themselves. We say that you need to be silent spectators, listen to the instructions being given, don't talk. And I feel in today's generation and even in today's world, we are doing a disservice to children if we're not focusing on these key elements.
Absolutely.
So the ability to communicate well, to ability to regulate your emotions in whatever situation, to give a very considered response to things instead of reacting. These are all very important skills. So if we start young, by the time you come to the age of adolescence and the entire world goes haywire because you're being attacked from inside and you're being attacked from outside and everything is getting chaotic and you're trying to assert your individuality, you're trying to find a space for yourself, and you're trying to navigate a world which has suddenly changed.
Yes.
So we start young and then build on that little by little, the way you, do things. I think that makes sense. That's what I want to do. I would say that include social emotional learning in every space and start young.
So that by the time आप adolescent training वाले stage पर पहुँचो, the children are already well versed with what happened, in the previous stages.
You've already laid a foundation, and they already know the things they can control and they cannot control. And when you teach the children, and normally during adolescence you start with the circle of control, right?
Yes.
And when you teach circle of control, what do you teach them? You say that everything else is not under your control, but only you and your emotions are in your control.
Perfect.
So why not begin with that early on, so that they already have that realization and they're already used to modifying the responses according to the situation.
And let's say if a school were to start something like this, or if I as a school leader want to start and early intervention in terms of socio-emotional learning, how would I really start with? Or, as a leader, you know better as to how to inculcate this in the school curriculum or make this happen. How did you make this happen, or how can one make this happen?
Okay, so when I was studying, I said, we should have these character building workshops for students, and we should do this, we should do that, everything regarding the students and how we need to modify their responses. And my mentor and guide told me one thing, that change doesn't happen from the bottom, it happens from the top. So first start training the adults on how you require a culture to be. And once your adults are trained, the entire change will filter down and your students will automatically look at that behavior and be well versed with it. So a mindfulness program that caters to not just the students but also the adults in your organization is something that I would highly recommend. If you could create the space or just be intentional every day. Just look at your energy and then monitor it so that you give out the best. If you could do that, children will pick it up immediately.
Absolutely.
If you build in guided meditation practices, or even if you have a zero tolerance policy, okay, and you create a restorative justice front on that.
Absolutely.
So rather than having a system that is geared towards reward and punishment, you talk about consequences and responses. And you talk about a space where even if there is a mistake, there is a way forward beyond it. And it's a more self-corrective measure rather than something which has to be enforced or instilled. It seems like a very hard thing to do in
This sounds
school
very
systems.
intriguing, because if you could share an example, because I can imagine this happening very beautifully, but I really have to think of a situation where can I fit in, because whenever I talk to somebody and I know I have to go in a class and these measures I really want to apply. So how would somebody really apply these? If you could share any example.
Okay, so let me share an example. We had a slight disagreement between two students,
Okay.
a boy and a girl, and it escalated to the point that the parents intervened. There was a lot of issues which were happening. Parents are overprotective, so when they become invested, things go out of hand, right? So in the school, as is CBSE policy and otherwise, we have a no-touch policy, right? Which doesn't just apply to the teachers, it also applies to the students.
Absolutely.
So there are certain set rules and regulations that you need to follow through. Now, in a zero tolerance policy, you would say that, okay, this is grounds for suspension, expulsion or whatever, and you end up the situation there and then without creating a space where conversation around it could take place. The other thing you could do is you could do a class intervention and you could say that, okay, fine, I want you to know where is this coming from and why is this happening and why are there so many elevated feelings around this. Or you could say to the class going inside that look at the circle of control. And now, who is to blame for what happened to you or the feeling that was generated in you? So, if we are going to allow them to take responsibility for whatever is happening during that conflict, and we give them the space to resolve that conflict themselves without directing them and telling them, because nobody wants to live in conflict, right?
Absolutely.
You want to find a solution. But if a solution is enforced on you, it doesn't become something that you're able to follow through with.
Absolutely.
But if you come to it on your own agreement, together, after conversation, then don't you think it'll have a more lasting effect?
Makes sense.
So is that not something which is more towards restorative justice rather than enforcing a punishment? So if you have student-led initiatives like this, rather than taking the onus onto yourself as an adult, you have taught them 3 valuable skills. You've taught them tolerance, you've taught them fairness, you've taught them conflict resolution.
Absolutely.
Why not do that? I think mostly schools do that. I think we have very enlightened leaders who follow through with that sort of a process. It happens seamlessly. But then there are also places where you think that, we don't have time to do all of that, and let's just do the best thing possible and get it over with.
Absolutely. So I was thinking that, whenever we talk about children's mental health, there are several perspectives that influence that aspect, but we neglect somehow. So, I mean, these could be parental concern, or it could be the teacher's mental health itself. How do we cater to these aspects? I mean, I know the ultimate thing or ultimate goal for all the 3, the school, the teacher or the parent, is to take care or to make sure the child's development is at the best.
Yeah.
But these 3 are connected. So how do we make sure we are uplifting everybody here?
That's a really good question, Simran. I feel when you're taking the child into consideration, when you ask someone, what do you want for your child? What is the first thing that a parent would say?
I think academically, speaking, they would say that, they want their child to score well, or somebody would say they want their child to be successful or be something.
And what is the measure of success?
I don't know, maybe in terms of monetary gains, I would say, or maybe a reputation or a career path that the parents have selected.
So then you're focusing on all of the things that can be taken away from you.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not really building the child from inside. You're basically telling them to focus on the externals.
Yes.
And again, if we go to the circle of control, externals are not in my control. So if you are really geared up towards basic human requirement, say I haven't slept in 24 hours, I would say my basic human requirement at the moment is sleep. But once I've slept enough, I don't want to sleep again.
Of course.
Yeah, you go to a party and you eat, okay, now you're full. And if someone offers you another snack, you would say, no, I don't want it.
Of course.
But what is one thing that we can never get enough of? Love,
care, happiness, yes.
Care. These are things which are limitless, right? And I think when you don't think of anything else, you say, okay, what do you want your child to be? I want my child to be happy. Okay? And adults also, if you look at them, what is your end goal? I want peace. I want happiness.
Yes.
So that is one commonality in everyone, that you want to be happy, you want to be peaceful, you want to be joyous. How do you build that? That cannot be based on any external. It has to be based on something internal. So then what is your overarching need? What do you want your child to be? You want your child to learn how to be resilient. You want your child to learn how to deal with obstacles. You want your child to learn how to exist in this world in spite of everything that could be happening, or despite everything that could be happening, I think is a better thing to say. So then, if you do want that, then is it not obvious that mental health is key?
Absolutely.
To everything? So then, what is the argument about?
So
was that your question originally? Or did I divert from it?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And to specify this, I can ask a leading question. So, let's say in a school setup, as a leader, you have to take care of a lot of things. I mean, mental health is of course important, but you cannot also let go of the academic pressure that is there. You have to, deal with that. How do you fit in simpler things like happiness, love and care, and कैसे inculcate करे बच्चों में through teachers or through parents, however?
Children have to be, the behavior has to be modeled for them. If you find a person as a mentor or a guide who gives you respect, who gives you love and care and honest feedback, is that not something that you remember throughout?
Absolutely.
You look for that or you emulate that because you want to be that for someone else. So role modeling is important. You need to create a space where children are comfortable being who they are, good, bad or ugly. You cannot have one set policy for everyone.
Absolutely.
No?
Inclusion.
Inclusion. You have to make room for diversity as well. You have to celebrate differences. You have to make an environment where there is no judgment in being yourself.
So more like creating a safe space for children where they can express and learn, to provide safe space further also.
Okay, let me give you an example. I think it'll be better if I talk about a specific case. There is a student who is failing miserably in all the subjects. Okay, is generally abrasive with the teachers and goes and tells the parents that the teacher has it in for me, which is why I'm not doing well. Okay, the parents come to the school to fight about the entire issue, about this child not doing well and the teacher not being responsive, not caring enough. During the conversation, we got to know the child is a latchkey kid. Goes home and parents are not there. Both of them have demanding jobs. And so the child fends for themselves till the parents come back, which is around at night. So the child is responsible for feeding themselves, for looking after themselves, for caring for themselves. So where is the connect? This child is drowning in neglect and has no outlet at all. Is it any wonder that this child is not performing?
Absolutely.
Okay. I can tell you one thing, at the end of that conversation, the mother was howling because she knew that there was something which she herself was at lack for. She came in full fighting mode and we didn't have to do anything. We just needed to be gentle with her and understand what her concern was and where she was coming from. And after that particular incident, all we did was we instructed the teachers to greet the child by name, to ask about their day, and in case they don't have anything to eat, to provide something from the pantry. That's all we did. And this child turned 360 degrees around. Now this child greets us, talks to us, discusses their day, talks about minor ailments, about whatever happened, and is connected. So schools are responsible for creating a sense of belongingness in the child.
Yes.
That belongingness doesn't come easy, especially to teenagers. This is a teenager we are talking about. They don't connect that fast. And if you can just give them that respect that a child deserves, and somehow or the other in our society we don't tend to treat a child like an individual. We treat them as an extension of a parent or another person. We don't treat them as individuals deserving of respect. That, when you look at someone and you treat them as equals, they live up to that. I think that is something that needs to be taught to adults when dealing with children. That you cannot, you look at kindergarten children. What happens? The teacher will pull the child into place. Line mein chalo, will pull the child. Has the teacher tried saying, Miss so-and-so, would you please step here? Do you think the child is not able to understand? The child can understand. It's just that you're not giving them the chance to do that. You feel, इसको तो समझ में नहीं आएगी. इसको तो नहीं पता चलेगा कि क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. So you roughly pull them in place rather than instructing them. You don't say, I want you to stand here. And then later on you say, सुनता नहीं मेरी बात. तुमने कोशिश कब करी सुनाने की?
We want them to be responsible, but we are not giving the space.
Absolutely. You need to make systems like that.
Absolutely.
Where you are building in respect from the beginning. If you have a school where you see children disrespecting adults, you will find adults disrespecting children first.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, this changes the perspective a lot. Because we always, like you said, we always forget to, see children as individuals.
Yes. Yes. And all of them have the unique personalities. You cannot say that this child is the same as so-and-so. I can't lump them together and call them grade 6. It's not grade 6. It's made up of so many elements.
So, absolutely. And I think, maybe because you have worked in this field or in this target area from a very long time. You were into dentistry first, and then you started Mind the Mind, where you focused on life skill building in children, adults, and younger adults as well. Do you think, is this where the perspective is coming from, or this perspective shift has happened with the experience here in the school?
No, you're right. It was with Mind the Mind, because Mind the Mind has a simple percept. It says that if there is a problem, the solution to the problem lies in your mind. So, which is why it is essential to mind the mind. So the same solution for everyone, whether it's a child or an adult. If you've created a problem in your head, the solution is also in your head. You just have to look hard enough. And what Mind the Mind workshops and trainings taught me was that by and large, it is very important to build on these life skills, because life has to be lived inside out. It cannot be lived outside in.
Absolutely.
So if you are into that kind of a mindset, then you do look at people in a very different way. You do not look at them as a means to an end. You look at them holistically, 360 degree, and you say that, okay, this person has so much more than just the positives and negatives, is made of all of these experiences, and everyone teaches you something or the other. I do feel that yes, Mind the Mind was very helpful in giving me an insight into human nature and on how we are motivated. That helped me a lot. I also feel that my time abroad widened my perspective in terms of inclusion and diversity in the true sense, and also equity. So building that and working on that from the socio-emotional learning helped increase my mindset regarding this.
I think this was full of insights and knowledge because you have a lot of experience, and all of this is research backed, because you have done trainings and you have actually been on the back end side looking everything from a third perspective.
Yes.
So, I want to ask, is there any anecdote or like a policy or a norm that was out of the box, or maybe that, that you created here at Delhi World Public School that was very unique?
We set up a meditation room.
Oh.
We have a beautiful space of meditation where it's very pleasing to the eye, it is very soothing, and we found that in case of a conflict, it is extremely helpful to take children into that room. They just automatically calm down and solutions become easier. Also, the meditation room helps to set a tone for the children when we're talking, when we're doing important conversations. It creates a safe space for them to speak up.
Makes so much sense. Whenever they enter, they know that, this is where I can speak out anything and everything.
Yes, difficult conversations become easy.
I think that is a really great initiative, because these are the little things that we always underestimate.
Correct. So, although it's not something the way I wanted to run, it's not really running like that. When I envisioned a mindfulness room or a meditation room, it was to be a space where children could go when they were overwhelmed by things. So it was to be a space where when you had a day which was running away from you and you were feeling overwhelmed, you could go and do that, be in that room, sort yourself out, and then go back to class. But this is not a small school, we have a lot of numbers, and then that doesn't work. It creates a lot more implementation issues. So we shifted that policy around, but I wish I could actually implement it the way it was originally thought out.
But I think it's a great initiative. The first step, is a big accomplishment in itself.
Correct.
So, we have talked about a lot of life skills, and I think one thing that makes the journey easier is when leaders come together and they discuss things like this, like we're doing here. So similarly, EDUTHON is creating a platform like that where you can come across and share your ideas, right? Create a space where you can learn, unlearn and relearn. I recently, learned this word from you. So was there any key takeaway for you from previous year's EDUTHON that you have attended?
I was very impressed by the quality of people who were attached with EDUTHON. The wrong word would be quality. I would say that there were leaders who had a lot to offer. They were open about their conversations, method, practices, and their opinions about stuff, and I got to learn a lot. The conversations were candid. There was no artifice around them. Networking was good. The panel discussions were meaningful. I felt that at EDUTHON, people actually listened to what was going on. And that is a great thing, to have a platform where so many dynamic people can come and have conversations on topics which are not usually touched upon.
Exactly.
I think mostly when we have conversations, we tend to choose safe topics. We avoid stepping on people's toes. But here we had people with the emotional intelligence to deal with things which were beyond the norm in where conversations were concerned. So I did really enjoy learning about being a part of the EDUTHON and learning more from others around me.
And let's say if we were to ask you that you get to select a topic for next year's EDUTHON, and you really want conversations to happen around this topic, what would that be? Or any add-on to the next year's or upcoming year's EDUTHON edition?
I would actually be very happy if people moved on from talking about AI, etc., and move on to how actually are we building children to be decision makers, problem solvers, and critical thinkers? Because although the base is there, we are creating things around it. I feel that simply case studies or academic manipulations are not going to do this. I feel that we really need conversations, or we need to create environments where children have a stake in their own education. As a program, I believe there's a school in Singapore that they have a program for middle school where they do research, or they have a curriculum which they absorb throughout. At the end of the year, they present their learnings in the form of a PowerPoint or in the form of a project, in the form of a thesis. They present their learnings from the curriculum. So how it happens is that there is a board that sits, and if you've taken up, say, 5 disciplines, and in that there is science, there is art, there is math, there is language, the children come forward and will present whatever they have learned throughout the year. Which means that they're not presenting and they're saying, I did motion, I did light, I did, they're not presenting like that.
Real life applications?
Yes, they will say, what did I learn? So if the chapter is motion, where did I apply it?
So more like competency building?
Absolutely. And this is the kind of space we need to give to our students. So what are they learning? They're not just presenting what they've learned. They're also learning communication.
Yes.
They're also learning integration. They have automatically become critical thinkers. By giving them the agency to add whatever they want into the end of the year compilation, you're also teaching them how to become decision makers. You are teaching them how to become self-motivated learners. You are teaching them how to design their own path towards learning.
Absolutely.
We have a long way to go. And I believe that India has a lot to offer in terms of education. We have great educators, great education systems, and we have a tradition of being the best where education is concerned. So I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel in any way. The wheel is already there.
Absolutely.
Education
I think we are on the right
already
path.
exists.
Yes.
We just need to tweak our methods a little bit. And it's not just the hit and trial. There are so many other things that we are going to be going and doing.
This makes so much sense because, this year's EDUTHON topic is also AI meets humanity. So it's not just, focusing on AI, but how do you make sure both the things are in balance? So as you said, not just advancement, but basic life skills are also to be taught.
Yes.
Right? And I'm glad that, somebody who is so experienced in terms of knowledge is leading the school.
Oh, thank you.
And I wish, we had more time because these are really important conversations to have. And for all of those who are watching, we also had a previous edition of podcast because when the camera was setting up, I was discussing with ma'am and it was such a natural, holistic conversation that we had really golden points. And I think
it's because you're very easy to talk to. You just lead on the conversation. It was very comfortable talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on.
I would love to, randomly barge into your office and have a conversation like this.
Absolutely, anytime.
Really insightful. I think when I was talking to you, we got a lot of solutions. Like I was telling you about the parent solution, right? You know how we can have sessions for the parents as well. I think it was a very I would say productive conversation because both of us were sharing our opinions, then at the same time building up solutions together. So this was really great. I loved, how gradually we build the connection on something that we both align. It was really great, and I think for all of you watching, we have understood how important it is to inculcate basic life skills that we are lacking, and how important it is to include parents and teachers into building up a child's life, and how school can also play a very important role in setting up these policies and making space. So this was really insightful for me, and I wish we had a lot of time to carry this conversation.
I think we'll carry on with this later.
Definitely.
Off camera.
Off camera. So I hope for all of you watching, this was full of wisdom, full of anecdotes and experience and wisdom, I would say. How to create a holistic, health-centric program, and how can we go beyond AI also, but take it together also, and focus on life skills. So I'll see you in the next episode of Mentally Yours, presented by Mahfoos by Simran, co-presented by EDUTHON. Till then, take care of your mental health the way you take care of your physical health. See ya.